Hi, my name is Katie, and this is my testimony. So I've kind of been going to church on and off my whole life. My parents were divorced when I was really little, and when I lived with my mom, we never really went to church. It was more of something I did when I visited my dad. And so it wasn't until I moved full-time with my dad that I really took it seriously. I remember I got baptized probably when I was still in single digits, below 10, but I don't remember anything other than that about it. And so when I was a teenager is when I moved with my dad, and that's when I started going to church more regularly, every week actually, and when I started going on youth trips and things like that. And so it was just kind of a part of the weekly routine. It wasn't really anything, we prayed before we ate, went to church on Sunday, youth group Sunday night, and I knew who Jesus was, and I obviously believed, but I didn't really feel it start impacting my life until I became an adult. I think I started taking it seriously and realizing the actual impact that God can have when it happened to me. God was a part of my life and just a part of my culture, my family. But I never, people say God does miracles and, give him this and he'll walk you down the right path. And I had never really felt like that was something I had experienced. Like I had never felt that before. But I remember when I was a teenager and they always ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? What are you going to college for? And I wanted to be in ministry. And it was something I was kind of steered away from for one reason or another. And so I kind of just thought, that wasn't the path for me. And then accidentally, I ended up in the position I am now. And that's I didn't even realize it until I was doing the job and doing the ministry that, this was totally a God thing. And so that's kind of where I realized God can work in your life even if you don't realize it. And it wasn't even really something, people say pray for it and it'll happen. Well, I never really prayed for that. It was something I wanted, but it was something that I never really felt like I could get. And so without even really asking, he gave me what I needed and what he wanted me to have. And so it was kind of, like I said, something I didn't even realize was happening until I was already in the moment. Especially since I've graduated college, it's been very hard of which path do I want to go down as like an adult. I'm in that phase. I'm kind of getting out of it now, but like in the phase of my life where it's like I need to make a decision. And for the longest time I struggled. Do I want to go with what I went to college for, or do I want to go with what, I kind of accidentally fell into, which is something I've wanted since I was a kid. And so I really feel like I have, for the first time in my life, kind of just given it up and let God decide. And it's still kind of in the works, but it's something that I completely know that I can trust him with because he has given me these things that I didn't even ask for that I'm grateful for. So serving in a ministry position, especially with kids, is very fulfilling and rewarding. And my favorite part of it is the relationships that I get with the kids. I love when they come up to me at events or like they text me or call me or they want this and that. And it's just really something that I feel like I'm an important person in their life, and God definitely placed me in their life for a reason. Because like I've said, it wasn't really something that I felt like I was ever going to be able to do. And so the fact that it happened on chance and by accident, and it was completely a God thing, I completely love it. It's one of the best jobs ever. When you work in a ministry position, people expect a lot of you. Mm-hmm. That was one thing that when I wanted to be a minister, or in the ministry field, I should say, that people were kind of, your life's going to be under a microscope, and you are just expected a lot, which I get, and especially anybody who just works with kids, regardless if it's ministry, teaching, like you're just a role model. And so I really feel like myself, I have had to lean a lot on God to help me make decisions and live in a certain way that I feel like meets those expectations. Or it's a work in progress. There definitely hasn't been like an ending yet, like where I can say, this happened, God stepped in and now it's all great. It's still something that is a work in progress. I definitely see that God has used my experiences, positive or negative, to shape the way that I impact the children that are within my care from one job to the next. Because, especially with education, I hear about the life kids have at home, the things they go through, and I can really relate to that of what it was like when I lived with my mom. People say everything happens for a reason, and sometimes you kind of scoff at it because you're like, well, what? That doesn't make sense. Why do bad things have to happen to me? What's the reason for that? But the reason that those things could be happening to you is because God is letting that give you the empathy that you need to impact someone else in a positive way, and that's kind of how I've tried to look at it, that these bad things did happen to me, but I can use them in a positive way now. With God's help, I can use those experiences to not weigh me down anymore, but to impact me and other people, and to share His story with those. And I think just when you feel that way about this bad stuff that's happened to you, you can help other people through difficult situations that you yourself may not have gone through, but you can at least say, hey, these things have happened to me, but I've used them for a good way. Hi, my name is Katie, and this is my testimony.